I remember hearing that you were originally supposed to be in the cast of The Five Bloods, which I watched this weekend. It was wonderful. And I was curious, like, can you reveal which role was supposed to be the one you were playing?
I would have played Eddie. He's the gentleman that I believe he steps on a mine and gets blown up. Haven't seen the film yet, but I would have played that particular character, and I was looking forward to that film. Not only because I just love and adore Spike Lee and the messages that he creates in his films that are so powerful and strong, but also because the cast he was talking to at that time, it was me and Samuel L. Jackson and Denzel Washington and Denzel's son. It didn't work out for any of us because the film got pushed, and Spike was wanting everyone to be there the whole time overseas when he shot it, and I was still shooting Better Call Saul and was juggling that with Godfather of Harlem, so it didn't work out. We were even announced to do it, and it was just so hard for me not to be able to do that film. I'm looking forward to seeing it this week, and I know I enjoyed the script. It was interesting. Spike's scripts contained so much, but it felt so much like a cross between the Sierra Madre, the treasure of Sierra Madre, and also the whole idea of never leaving a man behind, that they all go back for someone that was left behind who they loved and respected. I hope to work with Spike again soon. I love what he does.
I feel like he's always just so engaging.
He takes chances, which I think is just so courageous. Even if they're chances that you don't agree with, he takes those chances and those risks and creates something really different from it. And it's really been lovely to know him all these years and watch his filmmaking progress and grow and deepen and have a deeper and more profound statement in a more subtle way. He's just brilliant at what he does. And so I look forward to seeing this movie.
He's always so committed to making the film a film and also a movie. That makes sense.
Absolutely. He's committed to telling a story. And he draws, that commitment is drawn from his understanding of the time he grew up in. And so I'm really anxious to see The Five Bloods because to see how it translated from paper to film, because that's a time I grew up in as well. We're close in age. So his view is look, his brilliance is not lost on me at all. And it affects me deeply because last week I was watching a particular piece of news feed. Earlier in the day, I saw a piece earlier in the day, maybe it was 11 or 12, where the police were on the roof of the Minnesota Police Department. And they were putting up some very shabby barricades on the roof. And I scratched my head and went, And everything was peaceful. They're looking down at the crowd and all that. Later on that night, that very same angle of that police station was the exact same angle, but the police station was now burning. All the police had left the station. This is in Minnesota after George Floyd. And I'm hearing the chant, no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace. And I'm watching the fire, and I just went, I grabbed my heart. And I went, oh. It took me right back to burning down Sal's and Do the Right Thing. And that's when I went, Spike Lee then was way ahead of his time. And it's reflected of our time now. And I got choked up and started to cry and turned my newsfeed off on my phone. Because that moment, I lived that in shooting. I lived that in my life. I mean, the Getty Square riots of 1964, 65 in Yonkers, New York, were race riots. I was there as a kid because the babysitter brought me out there. I've lived through so many of these moments, and to see that and go, okay, do the right thing. Okay. What year was that? Okay. And this footage I'm watching now, what year is it now? It's like 2020, and we were back in 1999, it's like, wow. And that's when I got a little sad, but a little happy, because an artist that I know and love, so committed to what he does, and the true mark and test of time in all of his films has been Do the Right Thing. This is the movie that still holds up today and is being looked at more. Chris Brancato's mom teaches a film class, and she was showing Do the Right Thing last week. It was just shown in the Netherlands and Holland at a major theater. Like, people are revisiting this movie. So, it tells you that's a mark of a genius filmmaker. And I wish Spike continued to success in that realm, because it's a bigger picture of the work that he does in his life to make a film that affects us on a level that carries through time. My sadness came around Nothing's Changed. That, this time something has to change. And, and so I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that it will, that people, now it's become a world movement. And when that happens, then change starts to really, people are now relating, especially New Zealand. Like, I know we're in a world of black and white, but when you go to like New Zealand and they're honoring George Floyd, but also honoring their Aboriginal people who have been discriminated against, it's a beautiful thing. That means everyone's relating to, rejecting anger and force and fear and racism. The whole world is, and they're taking it on as their plight, because little do we know that most people, whether you're white, even if you're white, have probably experienced some of the same things as well. So gender inequality, I'm hoping it's going to bring us back to that, because women have suffered more than anybody, over the longest periods of time as well, because no one looks at their plight. It's like they're not black, they have white privilege. Such a horrible, horrible label, because I don't know your life. I don't know where you grew up. Like, when I work with Boaz Yakin, another wonderful filmmaker, incredible artist, Jewish boy, grew up on a kibbutz, raised in Brooklyn, did a black movie, made a movie about black people, and people try to attack him on it. I went, well, you don't know his life. Let me just tell you about his life, so he doesn't have to tell you himself and doesn't look arrogant or displaced. He, this was his life. He grew up here with us, and he's got a hell of a basketball game if you, want to clock that and check that off as being black. But his voice is that of humanity. And isn't that what we're trying to get back to? Isn't that what the whole world wants us to acknowledge? Being human. Mm-hmm. And humanity says, okay, look, you and I are going to get together peacefully and go and march. We have a right to do that. And it's inhuman to disallow that. It's inhuman to co-opt that happened. And then everything rose to another beautiful spiritual level in our world. Because then the world got involved and said, I can relate to that. I can relate to that. This happened here. This happened in our culture. And then we become human again. And I think that's what we're really looking for. And we're demanding of our legislators, our government, our leaders, to have that humanity that guides us. My biggest sadness, besides what's going on in the world, is that we have no real leadership. Mm-hmm. And we need that. And I, as an actor, need that. I need a fearless director. I'm a director myself, fearless producer, to guide us to a place where we have entertainment that fosters our compassion and our humanity. And I think it's coming.